Oh, the brain dead.
Hey, we're almost past winter. That was gonna snow. You know what? I'm working on it. I can't switch
Down there. Do this good experience.
that. So you're thinking metrics? I'm thinking metrics. We'll go easy on it, don't worry.
Hold on.
How you doing? Hey.
How you doing?
Good. Always mine's still there.
Oh, Scott, how are you doing?
Wait, I think you're 15 of an hour, something.
You're in church tonight, Mom?
Chairman's gonna be here, right?
That's what we were just wondering. Mr. Vice Chair.
2 minutes.
Neither confirm or deny that, especially with this.
Get the second that same. Second.
Well,
Do whatever you want. Oh, yeah, yes. Yes.
You're off. So he's here. He's here.
you got the bird's eye view.
No.
You made lawns tonight.
Actually, 5 minutes later, so didn't start.
30 seconds to spare.
Bonds.
Wrong.
Heart rate's going down.
He's never what happened.
All right, well, I show 6 o'clock. Are we ready to start? Okay. Perfect time. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started tonight with the Syracuse City Plan Commission meeting. Welcome everybody to the meeting tonight. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Commissioner Thought is by myself, Chair Hallowell, and then Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Johnson. Go to that tonight. Our Father in heaven, we come before thee this time to open our Planning Commission meeting for Syracuse City. We're thankful for that we have to live here in this great country, in this great state, in this great city. Grateful for the freedoms that we have and the blessings that are bestowed upon us. We pray that Spirit will be with us tonight as we make decisions, as we can be able to make them in the best interest of the citizens of the city. We are thankful for the blessings that was given us and say these things in thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next is to adopt tonight's agenda. It's posted in accordance with state law. So we can all have a motion to adopt. Do a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. We've adopted tonight's agenda. Next item is adoption of our minutes from our last works meeting on February 18th. If we have any corrections or comments on them, take them. Otherwise, take a motion to adopt.
Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt the meetings as outlined for us for the regular and the work session for February 18th, 2025.
Thank you, Commissioner Garner. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Commissioner King, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next on tonight's agenda is a period for public comment. And this is an opportunity for the public to comment, to make a comment to the Planning Commission on concerns or items. These are items that are not on tonight's agenda. We do have 4 public hearings scheduled for tonight's agenda. So if you have a comment on one of those items, please wait until that public hearing. And otherwise, you can come up and make a comment. Please state your name, address, and try and keep your comments to about 3 minutes or less. Okay, go ahead and close public comment period. Next item is a public hearing on revised site plan for Pacific Steel. Noah or Royce, which one's?
Yes, I have this one. So this is an expansion of the office area on the south side of the building. It's really basic, but again, our code requires that anything that requires a building permit goes through the site plan process. So here we are. So this is the southern elevation, and there's an addition here, this little portion, and there's some on the east side. So basically east over here. So what's being proposed is essentially the same coloration and overall material use and everything is what's out there now. Let me see if I can get to the colored elevation real quick. Oh, there we go. So you can kind of see a little better here. Oh, so the existing office is roughly this space. So the addition is this section and the section over here. The parking and everything still meets the requirements of the code. They were overparked with what was existing. This doesn't reduce any landscaping. And then everything that is shown meets all the requirements of the code. So we do have some requirements for facade lengths and things if it's uninterrupted, and coloration and whatnot. So if this was proposed as a new site plan, it would also meet the requirements of the ordinance. So based on that, this didn't generate any comments. So we would recommend that it be approved.
Okay, thank you. This is scheduled for a public hearing tonight. So we'll go ahead and open public hearing. This is for this particular Pacific Steel site plan we're looking at. If you have any comments, please come to the podium. Same rules apply as what I said earlier. Okay, go ahead and close public comment period or public hearing. To the commission for motion discussion. This seems pretty straightforward to me.
I agree.
Yeah.
Have an arm up, Ken.
Did
Comment I asked, could you talk more directly into the microphone or something? I couldn't hear you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've had our public hearing, so now we're open for the commission. Any other comments, or we can have a motion? I have no comments at all. Okay,
Chair Hallowell, I have no comments, but I'll make a motion that move the planning commission approve the request of Chad Spencer for an industrial site plan amendment for the Pacific Steel building on property located at 404 South, 1080 West in the ID zone.
okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item on our agenda is a rezone preliminary plat with development agreement for a rezone of some parcels at 3015 South 2000 West. So Noah, you got this one?
Yes, sir.
We have a public hearing. We do have a public hearing. Yep.
Okay, we've received an application from Coal West Development to rezone property. This is, I'll pull up a map. The general vicinity, it's near Jensen Nature Park and just north of West Davis Corridor. And of course, you have some residential development that's existing to the north. You can see the existing zoning. There's technically 3 existing zones. There's the R1 zone, A1, and RPC. And they've proposed to rezone all 3 to PRD. The general plan, it uses similar colors as the zoning map, but it's slightly different than the zoning map. You can see that the orange in this case means medium density residential, which would allow for a variety of potential zones, one of which is PRD. So the request is consistent with what the property's general planned, but there is a little technicality, and this was in my report. I don't know if you guys have hopefully had a chance to read it. There is a portion here that is actually zoned low density residential. In that case, the low density residential would not allow a PRD zone. However, on their proposed plan, they don't have any homes or anything in there. It's just open space. And so you could have open space in in a low density zone. So you can see currently it's zoned RPC. You could do a little open space in any zone. It didn't really matter, or you can just rezone the whole thing. It's almost like a technicality, so that it's more cohesive and more straightforward and there will also be a development agreement. So, as required, anytime you go to a PRD zone, which is a medium density zone, there's a little bit smaller lots than maybe average, and there's required open space, and so they're required to provide quite a bit of detail, and we've included that in the packet. I'm assuming that you guys have been able to get on the website and read the packet that we've sent you the link. For the audience sake, I think we do have a few people in the audience. I can go on a high level over some of these things. The city's reviewed the plans for compliance with our ordinances. The developer is in attendance if there's questions about some of these things. But this is a packet that he's put together with a lot of 3D renderings. So in this case, the north is to the right here. You can see the highway, and you can see the lot sizes, and the units per acre density. They do meet the requirements of the PRD zone. And so as far as procedure goes, this is a recommendation to the city council. And so anytime you have a rezone, it's the city council's final say. So this isn't the last stop for this project. In addition to the rezone, it's also a preliminary plat, and if there's any items that need to go into development agreement, they can be discussed at this time as well. I've included in the packet and in my staff report some of the staff comments. I don't know if we necessarily want to get into the weeds on any of those particular items right this moment, but on a high level, that's the project. What's proposed: 124 single family lots with some open spaces and trails. And the packet of information goes into a lot more detail, and the developer makes an argument why it's a good idea. Anytime the city's analyzing whether or not to change the zoning, we want to look at our ordinance, which has approval standards. There's 4 items in here of what we're supposed to be talking about. 1, whether it be harmonious with the overall character of the existing development in the vicinity of the subject property. 2, whether it be consistent with the standards of any applicable overlay zone, which there's not an overlay zone other than there's a sensitive area overlay zone that just requires some additional groundwater study, which they've provided. 3, the extent to which it may adversely affect adjacent property. And 4, the adequacy of facilities and services intended to serve the subject property, including roadways, parks, recreation facilities, police, fire, schools, stormwater, drainage, water and wastewater refuse collection. So I've analyzed some of these things in the staff report, in the general plan. It is a very rapidly growing part of the city, kind of the southwest corner. There's 2 elementary schools under construction. There's a fire station under construction. We're hoping to get a first phase of the regional park under construction. So there's a lot happening in this area. Of course, there's a new freeway and a new freeway interchange all right there. But hopefully that gives a pretty good overall introduction to what we're doing tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to ask any questions, and I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Noah. Okay, this is scheduled for public hearing tonight. So we'll go ahead and open public hearing. This is again the public hearing on this particular item we're talking about right now. So if someone has a comment they want to make, please come to the podium there. And if you're the developer or the owner of the land, we'll just have you wait and come up later.
Are comments allowed over Zoom?
I didn't understand what was.
Sounds like there's somebody online trying to speak, and she can't see because the camera wasn't working. She doesn't know that Shane's at the podium. So whoever you want to go first, Mr. Chair, you can
Okay,
call on.
I'll let online. You can go ahead and go first, Shane, if you'll wait just for a minute.
Oh, thank you and sorry about that. Just as a resident who lives right next to that plot, there's some concern from the residents around how potential traffic from a new development right there would flow right onto Edgewater Lane, because it looks like one of the there's a road that stops going in that direction that I assume would be built out into the new property. So we just worry about all that traffic coming down Edgewater Lane.
Okay. Okay, Shane, if you want to come up.
Good evening. My name is Shane Croton, address 2353 South, 3585 West. I just wanted to give a few comments on this proposed development. As far as the idea, the design, I think it's a great design for the area. It's probably the best use for that area. It's similar to the developments near it. I agree with all the staff comments that were in the agenda. The one item that concerns me is the lot sizes seem to be getting smaller and smaller in the city. We don't have any larger lots coming in, which I think we need to have some kind of balance. But for this particular area, where they're all smaller than the Edgewater and the Village at the Bluff, I think it would be better for the lot sizes in this proposed development to be more in line with something like the Village at the Bluff, where they're 0.13. So something in the 0.13 to 0.15 lot size, I think would be better for that area. But the design I like. I think it's a good idea for that area. So thanks.
Thank you.
I have another comment from online.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you go to page 78 on the slides?
Can you state your name and address for us too?
Yes, my name is Caleb Lindquist. So I live at 1711 West Ross Road.
Okay, thank you.
So this goes along the same concern with Shane about the parcel size. My home is right on the corner. So when you're, if you see the pickleball courts where there's that triangle lot, my home is right on the corner between the turn of Ross Road and vice versa. So the other side of the road.
Okay.
So with the lot size in the proposal, I agree. It looks like a great proposal, and I like the architecture. I like the open space. The one concern is just the placement of that home, because in this proposal, I think it makes it look more spacious, but in the reality, the backyard is not that wide. So looking at that lot behind where it's showing no side yards, I feel like that would be pretty encroaching right on the property line where the backyard is really a short distance. And then the other question was, we had a question about the intent with the developer. Just want to get clarification. On another picture, it looked like there might have been a trail that would be built in that area along the property line to go to the park between the two developments. But we're not sure whether or not that will be happening exactly the line you just cut across. So that's a question we wanted to clarify if that was the intent or not.
Okay, thank you.
Because my mouth gets dry and I am nervous.
No
about being
problem.
here.
I have one up here too.
Okay. My name is Patricia Bodley. I live at 1803 West, 3025 South, which is the Trailside subdivision. And my backyard abuts the property in question here. And I am opposed to this mainly because the traffic, we've already had increased traffic through our subdivision because we had one street that was opened for the townhomes and the one single strip of patio homes that adjoins our patio home development. And we already see a difference in there with traffic. And if we lower that and you have what did you say, 124 homes, We have 117 in Trailside. And I can't imagine 124 homes in an area that's smaller than Trailside. It appears to me to be smaller. And I can see them opening up 2 streets close to where my house is, and I don't want that much more traffic. The other thing is my opinion, when you start putting in these high-density homes, the overall property value goes down. I think Trailside was a beautiful retirement area for us. And then over the years, we've lived there 9 years this month. And when we moved in there, we didn't have any, of course, the highway, we knew it was coming because we knew that property was owned by UDOT. But the houses further there, down behind us off of 2000, all of that is much higher density than the rest of Syracuse. We see a ton of traffic on 2000 West. And I hate to see more traffic with speeders coming through our little subdivision. We have a lot of elderly people. You get out in your wheelchairs, walkers, and slow people. We don't have a lot of kids, luckily. That's the advantage of a retirement center. But we do already have a problem with people speeding through there in the townhomes that they opened to one street and opened access to our area. So that's why I am against it. And I think it would devalue our property over time too. Anytime you get high density property, in my opinion, it lowers the property value. The other comment, again, I've lived there for 9 years. We've never had any problem in Trailside with vandalism or anything until those homes built on the other side of the West Davis corridor. Once those were put in, we started having vandalism in our area, and we do still have it today. And so I don't want to see more problems with more high density. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is April. I'm online. I don't know if someone's standing up. But...
Yeah, no one's up there. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I also had another traffic concern or question about the volume of traffic on 2000 and Bluff Road. There's a circle at the corner that's already very, very busy. There's about 6 different roads that intersect there at that circle. And I was wondering, maybe this isn't a question to ask now, but was concerned about the amount of traffic on 2000 and Bluff Road with this number of homes being added in. So that was all that I had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I guess the roundabout will be up in the upper left corner of the drawing, Noah. Is that if I've got my bearings right? Or is she talking about the one down by the pond?
Yeah, it's a little bit off the page,
Yeah.
but I know that in our
kind of up in the
our transportation master plan has studied that out, and if I understand it correctly, the consultant usually takes into account the master plan to simulate the traffic numbers.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else online have a comment they want to make? Okay, and seeing no one else who's staying in the meeting, I'll go ahead and close public comment period or public hearing. Back to the commission now for discussion and a motion.
We are talking just the reason right now, talking about site plans.
And preliminary plat with the development agreement. With a PRD, those have to come together.
You're saying that was closed for this.
I just closed the public hearing. Is that what you're asking? Okay. Yeah, I just closed public hearing. Oh, I offered and no one else stood up. If you want to make a comment, I'll go ahead and reopen public hearing. I can't talk any louder into my microphone, so I'm sorry. But if you want to make a comment, please come up.
Hey, my name is Mark Clark. I live at 3010 South, 1765 West. And I just moved here 3 years ago. But I was told at one time that the Planning Commission for that area, we were supposed to have ballparks and we were supposed to have this and that and a beautiful area for recreation. I noticed it said, talked about some parks and recreation. I don't see anything that's happening. Everybody's worried about throwing up all these high density homes that creates the traffic that we've been talking about. But I think we need to really sit back and look at what we're trying to accomplish here. Too many times it seems like the greed glands get stuck and everybody's out to, oh, let's see how much money we can make. I was on the city council of a different city, and I can't believe how many times people would come in and say, oh, we want to change the development here. The only reason was so that they could make money, and it wasn't anything about making our area more beautiful and more livable. I would like to see some plans for, why don't we put a park in there, a swimming pool, some of those types of things. I know that takes money and everything else, but I don't see any of that, and I'm not privy to everything that goes on, but I would like to see something a little more realistic about the traffic flow. And we've got so much high density now that it feels claustrophobic almost. We're losing our view of the mountain and everything else. So anyway, I'm opposed to having such a high density development put in there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I've already asked online, is there anyone in the room here that wants to make a comment on this item? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close public hearing now. And we'll go back to the Plan Commission for discussion or motion. Oh, if we want to invite the, okay, if you want to come up, sir.
Chase Freeburn, representing Cole West, 610 North, 800 West, Centerville, Utah.
Thank you. You got to hear a lot of questions and questions. Do you have any responses or answers to some of them?
Yeah, first, I just want to say thank you to the residents. I know it's not easy to come out and speak to your neighborhood and speak on behalf of your neighborhood. And I think it's commendable that there is community involvement. And sadly, some of the cities we develop in and work in, there's very little to none. And I think it says a lot about what makes Syracuse special is, this is a place where it's people first. This is a neighborhood, and that's not lost on us. We understand that. We live in homes, we live in neighborhoods too. We have children, and I live nearby in Layton myself personally. And a lot of these same concerns are concerns that are brought up in many other cities along the Wasatch Front. And we are grateful for the opportunity to have a relationship with Syracuse City. This is an amazing city with amazing leadership and a partnership that we want to continue to foster. We do want to build a high quality project in this area. Ultimately, where the exact density count or amenity uses fall, that's hard to say right now, but we believe we've put our best foot forward in trying to design the best project possible for this area, which we argue is consistent with the general plan and surrounding densities. I do want to, there's some great questions, I think, and I apologize if I did not get the names right, but I think several comments on traffic, several positive comments, but just maybe a difference of opinion on lot sizing. I know there was a question about trails connecting to the Jensen Nature Park. Having walked the Jensen Nature Park several times myself, it's a huge community asset, and I would kill to have something like that next to my house. I don't, but you guys are lucky in that it's a great community asset to have. And yes, we do have plans to have a trail that connects through our project into the Jensen Nature Park. So effectively, you could walk from Trailside, or you could walk through from Edgewater and other Village at the Bluff projects and go due east and go through our trail system. I mean, that would be HOA maintained property, but maybe there's a way we could do some type of trail easement for the public. That's an easy solution to that. And there's a gentleman, I think it was Caleb Lindquist, that mentioned just one of the lots that might be a little close to his unit specifically. We're happy to look at that.
It was the one kind of on the corner. It's like it's like a triangle lot.
It's like a slice of
Correct.
pizza.
Yeah, that's a good example.
A slice of pizza. So that's in phase 2. I know right where that lot is in that home, and we're happy to consider, you know, a different configuration to try to, you know, meet his concerns and needs, and you know, hopefully we can get there. I don't know what that looks like right now, right off the top of my head, but we can look at a different configuration, different ways to mitigate that for him. And then Mrs. Bodley mentioned just the traffic and density, and again, this is a common concern among all communities that are experiencing growth and new development. It's one that has affected me in my own community. I live in a single family home where they've built nearby new townhomes, and you know, that has impacts, positive and negative. And I think it's important to just understand what we're proposing. And, you know, most developers, I think, would come in here and say, hey, this is next to a highway. You know, if this was most cities, they would try to push for apartments, townhomes, condos. That's not what we're doing. We're trying to have a balancing effect. We want to have the best possible architecture, the best looking project. We want it to stand out. We want it to be a statement project that will make an impact on the area. But we also realize that there are residents who have lived there for some time who have different ideas on what could or should be there in different density. And so there's a lot of stakeholders at play, the city, the developer, the residents. We're trying everything we can to work with Syracuse City in good faith and provide a plan that checks as many of those boxes as we can. We'll probably not hit every single one of those boxes 100%, but we will try everything we can to be a good partner and to bring a genuinely good project that you will look back on and say, hey, I'm glad we had this discussion. I'm glad we had the neighborhood out. Some of the best comments, some of the best ideas I've heard on projects have come from neighbors, have come from the public. And I think it's very important that we have this process where we do have a public hearing. So I appreciate everyone's comments, and that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, we want to build a relationship, and we want to build a project that we can be proud of and the city can be as well.
Okay,
Thanks.
If you want to stay just for a minute, any questions from the commission?
I just have a quick question about the buffer. I was looking for it in there. I saw when I was looking at this earlier for the weekend, but what is this required by our change to our buffer of this, or did this go in before?
Yeah, they'll be required by our buffer ordinance to install at least a 6-foot masonry fence. They've included there that they're putting a sound wall in there. I don't remember off the top of my head how tall, but I think it's taller than 6 feet. The detail they included in there also had a trail, which on other plans is not there. So I don't believe that they're doing a trail. You may want to clarify that because it's within the UDOT right of way.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Yes, we are planning a sound wall along the entire frontage with the highway. And that, I believe, is a 12-foot standard wall per the UDOT spec. And that's something that we would install on our dime. UDOT unfortunately will not pay for that and not install that on their dime. So we think it's important. In fact, our owner and founder, he lives in a community in a neighborhood where there once was no sound wall, and now there is a sound wall, and he'll be the first to tell you the difference it makes in a peaceful and quiet neighborhood, and that's important to us. In terms of the trail on the cross section, it's hard. There's so many different portions of the West Davis corridor, from Hooper, West Point, all the way down to Farmington, that those trails meander. And I think we were just anticipating if UDOT ever did put a trail in, that's what that might look like adjacent to the highway. There may not be plans for that here, and there may not be access or enough room. But that's just to kind of show, I guess, a conceptual look of what a trail on the other side, on UDOT's side, might look like if they ever put a trail there. So with that exit that comes off, there's probably not enough room with those deceleration lanes that come off of northbound West Davis. But I know we're doing a similar project in Farmington, and we're proposing something similar with sound walls and trail access to the trail system around it. So,
Thank you.
thanks.
Noah, just one other question too, with several of the citizens voiced concern with the traffic. I tried to look at it real close. What traffic calming measures have we got that are on that plan, especially where it connects with the existing neighborhood? You know, that I'm trying to think the one road that's pretty long already.
So one of the best traffic calming that you can have is being able to spread the traffic out. So if you look at this property, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 access points. So that does help. You know, maybe there's one that's more popular than the other, but that helps. And the other thing that they'll be required to do is we have a low, I always get the name of it wrong, but they're bulb outs on the corner, the reduced width intersection, I think is what it's called. But those essentially reduce the width of the road at intersections. And so cars can't Tokyo drift around the corner.
Great, thank you.
I noticed the trees as well lining the roads, which is also a really good traffic calming measure as well. And that was one thing that I saw in there that I was like, I really like that.
I have a question. Go ahead, please. City engineer's review has a comment about no basements will be constructed without a land drain. How are you addressing that?
So it's no secret the sewer in West Syracuse, especially west of the bluff, is extremely shallow in some cases, and it's no different here. We plan to build basements. We know that we can't do some type of low pressure sewer system or any of that, but we plan to actually elevate some of the roads enough that you know there will be a way for not necessarily basements, but we plan to have crawl spaces in some cases. Some cases it may be slab on grade with no basement. In some cases it may be a crawl space. Now this isn't livable square footage. This is really just a place families can keep storage and keep things out of their garage, so they can park cars in their garage and not keep junk in their garage. But it's been no secret to us that this area has high water table. It has low sewer, high sewer that's not very deep. And the short answer is no basements. Yes, that's correct. But in some cases, we may elevate the roads a little bit just to try to make sure that we have gravity flow, because that's really a concern out there just with how shallow the sewer is.
Any other questions from the commission?
Is there any sort of detention basin requirement for new communities like this? I don't see one in here anywhere.
Yes, we require detention for a 100-year storm. Our city engineer's in the audience and he's nodding, so I think I got it right.
And it actually is on the plan. It's kind of a dual purpose use, so it's used as part of the open space and the detention. So if you look, I don't know if the renderings, there might be a rendering that shows a better idea of it, but essentially kind of that. If you zoom in a little bit, there's the pickleball court kind of.
Is it right by the pickleball court then?
Yeah, and it kind of goes along the highway there.
Okay.
In the middle of the sidewalk. So the sidewalk kind of is a perimeter around it. And the goal is to have a dual purpose. It's open space, it's maintained, but also it meets those requirements for storm drain. And I believe UDOT also installed a culvert as part of the West Davis construction. There's a culvert about right there that goes underneath the highway.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the commission?
Sorry, I have one more question.
Sure.
One of the residents commented about lot size being 0.11 acres average. If that was increased to a 0.13 average, how would that impact? Maybe I'm putting you on the spot here, but what kind of an impact would that be if we were to do?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and kind of going back to my comment that there's multiple stakeholders here, and one of the gentlemen alluded to it. You know, we take, there's no shame in saying it, that we have a profit motive. That's how every neighborhood gets built, and nobody would have a house if a builder or developer didn't have a profit motive. So that's obviously important, but at the end of the day, it has to check the boxes for all these different stakeholders. And again, most developers, they're going to try to get as much density as they can. They're going to go in and a lot of developers, frankly, and I've seen it in a lot of cities, they'll come in with a really scary looking plan that shows high density townhomes and apartments and condos, and knowing very well that's not what they actually intend to build. And they come in with what they really want. And I think that's disingenuous. I think this is our best plan. This is our best foot forward. This is a balance. We have a profit motive, of course, and there's nothing to be ashamed of that. No reason to be ashamed of that. But at the same time, we just have to make sure that we can offer a home at a price point that people can afford. And no one is saying this is affordable housing. This is not Section 8 housing. This is not first-time home buyer housing. That's not what this is. But can it be attainable to the average middle-class consumer? And can someone who wants to live and work in Davis County and beyond, can they make that mortgage payment? That's really what it boils down to. So it's a balancing act. I won't lie, and I don't know the answer to your question, like what the exact number is or where the lot size ultimately falls. I don't know. I just know that we have put our best foot forward with what we think is best and what we think is economical.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We also have the issue with lot 149 where it's saying we've got the double frontage. Which lot is that? Is that the?
It says right as you come in from Trail Side on the north, coming into phase 1. And we've actually, this rendering doesn't show it, but we've actually addressed this with our engineer already. So essentially, we clip the corner of that lot, and that open space parcel wraps around it so that it no longer becomes double frontage, if that makes sense.
Do you have any concerns or issues with the staff comments or with the engineer's comments?
There was nothing that jumped out to me. I think, a lot of our product and architecture that will get refined in the development agreement. The really only, I think, question we just have to figure out is really just kind of the garage sizing and the garage dimensions. It's always hard to predict the exact dimensions of a garage and how many steps are going to be in a garage. And so we're working through some of those, small kinks, but for the most part, there's nothing to us that was a problem in the staff report and the staff comments.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anything other questions?
Just a comment with that if you do, you raise up the profile, put in a crawl space, you are going to put in more steps into your garage. So that's going to be cutting into that. You have that 9 by 20 requirement to have 2 side by side and have that full depth without any encumbrance. So you can actually park 2 cars in there.
You're exactly right. Yes. Yeah. People in Utah love their F-150s and their 1500s and everything. And I do too. And yes, there may be some cases where we have to push the home back a little bit, or we have to, elongate the garage to accommodate for some of those unique situations. And, our engineer and people much smarter than me will flush that out. But that is something that we would have to obviously take a hard look at.
Okay, any other questions?
I'll make a quick comment. I'm going to reiterate what Shane said as far as location. And I know there are some concerns with, a medium density area out there, but if we're going to have one, that's actually not a bad place to have it. It's right up next to the new freeway. The buffer that's been proposed is excellent, in my opinion, as compared to what our requirements are. And as far as the in and out, we have 4 different in and outs for this neighborhood. I would love to see be able to see additional traffic calming measures in the existing areas. I don't know how much that's feasible at this point, but I think the traffic calming that's proposed for this new zone, for this new area is excellent. And I don't see any problems with this as it stands.
Thank you. Hey, Noah, the development there that's in white, I don't know the name of it. What's the density of it? Do you know?
We, not off the top of my head, it's very similar. We recently did some numbers. I might even, there's a table in the packet. But there's 3 developments to the north. This one's called Edgewater by Century Communities.
Okay.
That's a PRD, and I want to say they're right around the same density, 4 to 5 units an acre.
And that was Edgewater is what I was wondering about.
Yeah, you can't go over 6 in the zone, so they're below the required 6. This is called Village at the Bluff. This is a Castle Creek project. They have townhomes on the north, and you can see all these single family. and then this one is the patio homes.
That's Trailside.
Trailside patio homes, and they went in a long time ago with a different zone. I think it's R1 cluster, but it's kind of similar thing. All of these are individual lots except for the townhomes, but the patio homes, some of them are individual lots, and then some of them are PUD kind of style where they have common areas, and then the property line just matches the footprint of their house. So yeah, if we want to get exact here, so we got a
I guess the
table.
point of my question is it's as far as the lot size, it's very similar to the surrounding developments.
On a high level, if you look at it, it really is about the same density as what you see north and south of there.
Okay.
There's a table in there if you scroll down a couple pages.
Yeah, so I have the numbers here in front of me. Edgewater Park, we think is about 4.5 units an acre. Trailside Park, we think is about 3.1 units an acre. They did have some large open spaces with some of that. And then let's see, Village of the Bluff, 5.72. So they pushed up on the 6 units per acre because of those townhomes that pushed it up a little bit, I think. Those numbers are not in the packet. The numbers in the packet, we had been fact checking, and we massaged them a little bit based off of what was provided just after we had posted them in the packet. Sorry.
So the packet numbers aren't correct?
This table is provided by the developer, is close but not exact. And
Those include the open spaces.
yeah, so this right here, it's close but not exact.
Well, yeah, because they can't go over 6 units per acre density, correct?
Yeah, and I don't know what methodology he used, maybe Google Earth or something, but
Yeah, I was going off of the best available information I could find, and on Trailside there was very limited information just because I think it was back in like 2014, even maybe beyond. And I was literally measuring Google Earth and getting this. And so I sent this to, and Noah's team got me the updated numbers today, but it was too late for the packet. So
okay,
I apologize.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's close.
Well, and you'll remember that single family residential quarter acre lots is 4 to an acre. That's what a quarter acre is. So 4.6 is actually not a big jump.
Yeah.
And
that's what I was thinking.
The difference in 26 acres from 4 to 4.6 is 25 homes.
Right.
And you take an average of 8 trips per day for home, you're in the whole thing is just 200 vehicles, and that's spread out over entire day. You're going to see about 20. I'm doing
math and
doing traffic engineering on the fly. But you're talking an extra car every 3 minutes. Did 20 in an hour. It's not. I'm very cognizant of the concerns for traffic, but as has been mentioned, the there is some built-in traffic calming, not just with the bulb outs, but if you'd want to see something if you had a traffic calming every 400 feet, that will keep vehicles really slow. And there's only really one section that's longer than 400 feet where we wouldn't have either a turn or an intersection. So I see a lot of potential. I like the plan. I see some things that they could have done that they didn't do that are actually natural traffic calmings there with Ross Road as it connects over to Trailside. They didn't, loop it around. They bumped it out so that there is a T intersection. So that forces people to slow down. There's just some natural things in there that I like that are good to see. And was pointed out that the 4 access points, an extra 20 in an hour, you're going to be spreading those out. You're going to see maybe 4 or 5 extra on each driveway. So it's true, but with any development, we're going to see some traffic. And so we want to get the right one for the situation. If it's not this one, it's still going to have traffic.
Yeah, no matter what went in there, unless it's something that would have no traffic, is going to have traffic of some kind.
The only way to have no traffic is to not develop it.
Yeah, that's true.
I would much rather see a PRD than a mixed use.
I will agree.
And I really like the 12-foot sound wall, because that's going to be a benefit to the existing developments that are further back. It's going to be a bonus.
Any other comments from the commissioner? We can take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Please. And this is forward to City Council.
Right. Mr. Chair, I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval. A request by Chase Freebayern and Cole West for a rezone of parcels located approximately 3015 South, 2000 West. The affected area contains approximately 26.92 acres in the A1 and R1 zones. Proposed zoning is PRD.
That's a recommendation.
That's a recommendation to council.
So, I did say that.
Can I ask for also that the city comments be addressed? Final plot.
I'll add that to my motion that all city comments be addressed into the final plot.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. It will go to City Council and be on some future agenda. I'm not sure when the next meeting is to discuss this. Next time is a public hearing for a request to remove property from a development agreement and for shoreline. Noah, you got that one too?
Yes, sir. Okay, this property right here in red on the map is essentially one of the last parcels in the shoreline development. You can see all of this that's been platted out. Half of this project was purchased by Woodside Homes, and the other half was purchased by Century Communities. So this was actually something that CW Land / Cole West, before it was called Cole West, entitled and then sold off to those 2 developers. So this last remaining piece was sold off to an owner. It's what we would call an undeveloped lot. Doesn't have any frontage improvements, no curb gutter, sidewalk, no laterals, nothing. And it's also part of this development agreement that says that there's a certain architectural theme. It talks about having a certain percentage of masonry. It also talks about when you have property adjacent to a common open space, you can't do a privacy fence. And that's more related to some of these other smaller lot situations where we didn't want to have little alleyways of open space that could be dangerous, or places where people just dump grass. And so they found that some of those standards and some of those improvement requirements were a little bit too much for what they wanted to do, and so they've tried to sell it. But the fact that it's encumbered by this development agreement and the fact that the RPC zone doesn't allow farm animals specifically listed as a permitted use, they've found it kind of hard to sell. And so their request is to pull it out of the development agreement, pull it out of the RPC zone, rezone it to A1. So it's considered a down zone, really. It's all that you'd be able to do here is just build a house, but you wouldn't have to worry about the masonry or the fencing. Whoever builds a house here is still going to have to improve the frontage with everything, but it just kind of clarifies what the city expects with this lot. So they had their attorney draft up an amendment. It's in the packet. This would, since it's a rezone, we chose to do a public hearing and notified the neighbors and everything of what's going on. But as far as like what's actually going to happen is we anticipate that there'll be one house built on a large lot, and they'll, being zoned A1, they'll probably have a horse or something.
Okay, thank you. This is also scheduled for public hearing tonight, as was mentioned. So we'll go ahead and open public hearing. First off, I'm going to ask for anyone online, if you'd like to make a comment, I'll let you go first.
Mr. Chair, you can also ask them to raise their hand too, and that gives us an idea.
Okay. If you want to make a comment online, please raise your hand, or we'll go ahead and go to the room. Okay, see nothing online. I'll move to the room. If anyone in the room would like to make a comment, please come to the podium.
Hi, my name is Shaylee Cornelius. I actually live in Layton. But this land, we're great with it. We actually tried to purchase this land during the summer, and we spoke extensively with Noah and Royce and the Girdmans and trying to resolve everything. But our plan was just to purchase this land to build a home for our family and have a couple horses. Nothing extravagant, but it's hard to find land that allows us to have animals anymore because everything is being rezoned for those high densities. So we just wanted to kind of come and support it and encourage it because that's where we want to build our forever home. We grew up in Syracuse, just on the other side of Trailside, or not Trailside, excuse me, Jensen Pond, and love this area. And we love Syracuse and we want to be a part of the community. So we hope that you would consider this rezone.
Okay, thank you.
And representing Cole West, the previous developer that developed this site. This is before my time, but just having spoken with kind of previous people who were involved with this development, just let them know what the applicant is doing and planning to do. And we are a party to the development agreement, and our part of the development or the property is subject to that development agreement, and we have no problem with the applicant's proposal in amending that development agreement to release him from the requirements so he can go about his way. So there's no problem from us. We support him, the applicant, and his efforts, and wish him the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public hearing now. To the commission for discussion and motion.
Everybody's amenable on a particular deal. It sounds great.
Yeah, I think this is a good, I don't see an issue with this one.
I have no issue.
And to clarify, it would be one house. That's the amount of frontage that could be built, right? It wouldn't be.
Yeah, it would be A1, and it would be impossible to subdivide it to, I guess there's nothing to say in the future somehow they want to do something different, but they'd have to submit a rezone request, and there is enough acreage to create more lots, but under the A1 they wouldn't be able to.
Okay, take a motion,
I can make a motion.
please.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the request for Aaron and Lauren Girdman,
Can this be a recommendation to city council?
pardon me, to recommend to city council that the property be removed from the development agreement from the shoreline residential plan community.
Do we need to have it rezoned to A1?
Yeah, that'd be part of it.
Okay. I'm gonna add that to your motion.
Yeah.
Rezone it to A1.
And a rezone to A1. Yep.
And
Okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a rezone for Landon Costley. Proposed going from A1 to R3.
All right, so this property is a different part of the city. We haven't had development in a while. So this is near where the West Davis corridor terminates there into Highway 193, 700 South. So this property was a UDOT parcel that was purchased as part of the project here, and we have quite a few of these. We're going to probably be seeing several of these parcels over the next couple of years. But essentially UDOT surpluses these parcels, and then we get these requests for rezones and different types of development. So currently it is zoned R1, which there's kind of a patchwork quilt out here of various zoning types. But in terms of new development in the area, so we got Trails Edge development here, and then we've got and the name is slipping me, but this development here, they did
Lakeview Farms.
Lakeview Farms, yes, yeah. So this property, they split the zoning, and this was just before I started here in 2016. And my understanding was that they wanted to have the higher density against the road, or the highway corridor there, and then do the lower density east. So anyway, the existing zoning in this area in terms of what's newly developed is either R2 or R3. With leftover parcels, we have the church parcel here, and this is empty, and we've got some older homes and farm space and stuff that haven't been rezoned. These are older properties. So what is being proposed here is the R3, which would essentially allow the same thing as here, and also what's along the West Davis corridor here. So there is a bit of a precedent in the area, but in order to develop this property in the same way, you can kind of see this cul-de-sac areas. I mean, it's a little bit bigger, but roughly, similar in size, that they could do a few homes in here if they had a public road access. And there is a challenge potentially for if it does get rezoned and they decide to move forward with development. We have a separation standard for intersections. So these two intersections here are about 600 feet apart. And we have a requirement that intersections are separated by 7.5 seconds of travel time, which with a 35-mile-per-hour speed here gives us 385 feet of separation required. So 385 obviously times 2 is over 600. So these two essentially overlap. So in order to get a road in here and get more than just the 2 lots that would be allowed in the R3, if this was rezoned, the applicant would need to get a variance in order to get a cul-de-sac, or however they decide to develop this in here, just to get that intersection spacing. So that's really the only issue with this one potentially. But again, like I said, it does match up generally with what's out there that's newly developed. It is up against the highway. There's sort of a precedent established here in terms of being up against the highway, being R3. And let's see. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So that's all I have. The commission has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
The land directly, I guess it's not really directly behind it, but it's the thin piece behind. Is that also UDOT? Or is that the road? I don't
That's
think it's
BOR
the
property.
This is actually an easement for the Bureau of Reclamation.
It's a water line. Okay.
Yeah, it's federal property.
And then small white piece just above your arrow, that's just the park and ride right now, correct?
This is actually a private parcel. There was some question about adding this. They decided not to do that. The park and ride is actually west of that. So we've got well, it's a trailhead, I guess, not a park and ride.
I want a quick clarification. The existing zoning is it R1 or A1?
Existing zoning is R1.
Okay,
I apologize. We had a typo there on the agenda.
no worries.
And they're proposing 2 homes in here?
Well, given the size of the property, to refresh my memory here, 1.7 acres at 4 units an acre, that would give them 5 possible lots. If they did get a road in there, if they aren't able to get a road in there, that would mean a variance isn't approved, then they could do 2, given the lot width.
And then it's just R1 to R3, correct?
Correct.
Here.
Yeah, this is scheduled for public hearing tonight. So we'll go ahead and open public hearing. So for this particular item, if you have comment, please come to the podium.
I am online. I have a
Go ahead.
question, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So I'm Chelsea Young. I live at 3303 West, 800 South in Syracuse. I'm the second house in that backs up to the freeway in that cul-de-sac, behind the church.
Okay.
So as far as if it is zoned to the R3, and they do get a variance, is there a possibility that apartments can go there? Or is it going to be limited to like townhomes style?
If it's R3, it is single family residential.
Okay. All right, then. Then I really don't have any other concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anyone in the room want to make a comment? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public hearing to the commission.
Would we need to, if we were to approve or recommend approval on this, would we need to include the our condition upon the variance, or would that be when we need to do the site plan?
That would be addressed at the preliminary plat.
Cool, thank you. Just want to clarify.
And with the land between the two, is that considered adjacent to the freeway? Or is that?
No, there's like that section there. This is my neighborhood, so I'm really familiar with it. There was a water line project, so that's Corps of Engineer land right there that buffers between that lot and the freeway.
Okay. That's the little parking lot thing.
With
That's
the
the
trail,
trailhead
too.
then.
I could be, so that area is owned by the federal government and it's essentially fenced off and you cannot go on it.
Okay,
Just so you know.
appreciate that. Thank you. So, and the little parking lot there is is that a trailhead then, Noah or Royce?
Yes.
Okay.
You can see the trail access to the.
Okay.
I know this might be a little forward thinking, but we do know eventually the West Davis corridor is going to continue further north. And which means I assume we will probably see some changes to the, the slimming down of the highway right there and expanding it to go further north potentially. That could be to just kind of what your point was with being right up against the freeway eventually.
That portion of West Davis is going to stay as it is. It's going to be built on the south side of current West Davis. Will be where the other, or on the west side is where the second bridge will go. Be on the west side of the current bridge. So we won't be building any further east on West Davis.
Okay, good to know.
There will be the trail currently going along that east side. Will continue up the east side of West Davis instead of going crossing over to the west. So there will be a trail crossing right there on that corner right there. There will be a trail crossing.
Similar to one that's just west of the post.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, well then that alleviates that's that concern.
Is there any concern that the small lot that would be left, would that make it undevelopable, or would that be still to be able to be developed?
No, they can still build on that lot. They could actually build on it as it currently is. They just can't subdivide it.
Okay.
I have no issues with this.
Okay, we'll take a motion,
I'll make a motion.
please.
Mr. Chair, I move that the planning commission recommend approval to city council for the request by Len and Costley for a rezone at approximately 3281 West 700 South. The affected area contains approximately 1.7 acres in the R1 zone. Proposed zoning changes to R3.
Okay, a motion, a second?
Second.
Okay, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are now in work session. So we'll have our city council reports for us, Paul. Okay. Nothing from city council, anything from city attorney?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything upcoming agenda items?
Just one moment. Let me pull that up here. All right. So upcoming, we have 2 final plats, Legacy Park Estates, phases 4 and 5. Verified those today, that those are ready to go. We also have the Costco site plan scheduled for the 18th. We had a ARC meeting last night to review that, went well. We have a rezone on 2800 South, 1400 West, request to go to R2. And then we also have a PRD request west of the new Syracuse Arts Academy, the one that's west of the West Davis corridor, and that may go forward. We're still trying to figure that out.
Didn't we already discuss one about that?
Oh, the final plat for that one.
Oh, the
Yes,
final,
sorry.
this is the final
My
plat then.
apologies.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And then moving forward from that, we have, let's see. No, that's really it. I guess there is a question. We currently don't have anything potentially scheduled for April 1st. That may change. But I don't know if the commission has strong feelings one way or the other about holding a meeting that is April Fool's Day. This is
the
not a
past,
joke.
we've had those kind of open meetings. I think we've had some good discussion on general plans, or I think we need to talk to transportation master plan. There's plenty of those things. I think it's worth taking a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour to go through. We've had some really good discussion and had some good, some of our updates to our ordinances have come because of those meetings. So I would like to probably still just, if we don't have anything, let's talk and we can arrange, we can look at something that we need to go through for the commission to understand. So I think those other times we've done it have been very beneficial.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
And
have a work,
we
just
can
have a
also
work
do
session that
training.
night.
Yeah, we'll plan on that.
With those upcoming agenda items, I think thousands of people across Syracuse just let out a great cheer.
Speaking of that, I'm gonna respectfully request my absence next time I have another engagement. I will
Okay.
not be able to.
All right. We'll miss you. You'll miss the Costco site plan.
As will
approval.
Costco.
I know. I'm waiting for it forever.
Okay, anything else agenda wise?
You want us to call you?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any commissioner, anything reports from the commission? I guess I could add one thing. We had a discussion with Councilman Savage and the school about trying to find ways to work through the parking issues that are in some of the neighborhoods. And we did come up with some ideas of things that the school's going to try and pursue. We'll see, hopefully will work. Probably starting next year. One thing that has been discussed, and this hasn't been finalized, but it was one of the topics we came up with, was to look at doing I'll call it a lottery system for sophomore drivers, where they would look and right now they think there's probably 50 parking spots. As we go through the rest of the school year, they're going to go through and more try and finalize that number to get a better total idea. And right now at the school, juniors and seniors can purchase parking passes because they're the ones that have driver's licenses at the start of the year. Sophomores, as they get their license, starting probably at each semester, there will be a lottery where they can request one, and then they'll have 50 spots that could go to a sophomore that has a driver. One of the requirements is they have to have a driver's license when they put in for the parking permit, and that will change at the semester. So they anticipate second semester having probably a lot more sophomores that will want parking passes than the first semester. That's not for sure yet. That's what they're looking at doing. Still some research to do throughout the rest of the year to make sure it's the appropriate number, but it will probably start next year. Assuming, there will also be a new principal there at Syracuse High in the fall. They hope to be announcing them sometime before the school year ends. So they'll at least have an idea who it is. But that's kind of an update from Syracuse High stuff. So if no one says anything, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.